Hi, Abraham. It's great to be with you. I'm not surprised to be in the hot seat. And this is what I want to talk about, is because I love the way that I haven't necessarily heard of the step 5 or embraced it or fully integrated it. But it's what I'm living in. It's what I'm experiencing lately. And I want to just I want to hear more about this living in alignment, because I feel this connection with my source.
The emphasis that step 5 points at is not being mad about being back in step 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's what step 5 is.
Okay.
Gracefully accepting that step 1 is a necessary step. Not being mad at myself for having step 1 moments.
Mm-hmm.
And not being stuck in them either.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what enlightenment is. I guess I'm here to ask and clarify. That's what enlightenment is. It's to be in the world and not of it, because you don't suffer anymore because you see that the step 1 happens, or you see that this contrast is here, but you can...
And you don't suffer because you're no longer judging or blaming or pushing against.
Yeah.
You're just accepting it as variety from which you can choose.
So this is possible. This is truly possible, to turn the suffering almost completely, it's gone.
Well, when you think about it, if you think about source in the way that most of you want to, sometimes people in the very early stages, when they're just contemplating step 1, 2, 3, sometimes they want this time-space reality to be absent of contrast. Why isn't there only good stuff for us, Abraham? If we are pure positive energy when we come, as you say we are, then why would we have to endure contrast? And we say, isn't it interesting that that which you want to call source knows the value of the contrast, and that you all knew it too, enough to be willing to come to participate in it. So you must have been in step 5 when you made the decision to come. What do you think?
I think so.
You weren't worried about it.
Yeah.
When you got here, you started to get worried about it. Mm-hmm. And then you've been here and you've stopped being worried about it. And so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And so I think one of my recent realizations, and I just like more clarity, is that when I feel good, it's like I am God, becoming God here, becoming source.
Jerry always wanted to put on the spine of the books, self-help from total self.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what you're talking about. And when you are tuned into that, you are that. You know that. That's what that sureness is, and that enveloping sense of well-being. Yes.
Yeah, I was walking on the path the other day, and I was beating up on myself for not being productive. Sometimes happens. And then I
that's why we
stopped.
said, do only 20% of what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Do only 20% of what you've been doing. Employers hate this part of the seminar.
Yeah.
Do only 20% of what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And use the other for tending to alignment.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess when I stopped, and I was in nature, and it was beautiful, so I just kind of accepted this moment for what it was completely, and looked at all these positive aspects, and I felt like I stopped, and I started walking back, and I had this just like sources like there, and it was like everything is okay, and it was so perfect because source wasn't worried about anything, and they're just like, I became well-being itself. It was.
What were your words to yourself? You were beating up on yourself for not being productive?
In a way, yeah.
But what could be more productive than alignment? That's really the point you were making to yourself right then. And that's really the point that you made and acknowledged and aligned with. What could be more productive? Alignment trumps everything. Mm-hmm. One who is in alignment with that broader perspective is more powerful than millions who are not. That's where all of your leverage is. Everything else is just going through motions. But that's where all of your leverage is. That's where the divine ideas are received by you. They're always being revealed to you, but you're not always in the receptive mode. So when you take the time to let yourself have a walk in freedom, when you give yourself an opportunity to bask in the beauty of nature, when you get outside and breathe the air that for longer than time has even explained to you, Source has been focusing into the perfection that you now get to taste in your mouth. The perfection of every moment in time is known by the Source within you. And when you allow yourself to take a peek at that, that is the most productive thing that you could ever do. because now you're tapping into that energy. Now you're in the receptive mode, and now it's known not just by your source energy, but it's now known by you what steps will be most satisfying, which is to say which steps are most productive. Let's put those words together. The most productive is always what feels the best. Always, 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 always. What feels the best is the best. And sometimes you say, well, I took some steps and it didn't turn out that well. And we say, well, because you didn't keep feeling the best about it. You second guessed yourself, or you scolded yourself, or as you started to do on that trail, for just a moment, you felt like you were not being productive. And then you got hold of yourself and you gave yourself permission to like it anyway.
Yeah. I want to know more about receiving thoughts from broader perspective, because I have these ideas, I guess, and I don't know necessarily, like, you have a spiritual guides. I've researched a lot of alien stuff, and so like that consciousness, and then there's all these other consciousnesses, and then there's source, and I feel like my path began with source and praying to God and to feeling God. And now all of this is like, I don't know if there's boundaries. And then, there's this feeling and sense.
There don't need to be any.
I guess there don't.
There don't need to be any, because on the path of least resistance, we talked about this at the beginning of the day. This path of least resistance, and the reason that we direct the energy so that Esther chooses those words instead of path of most allowance, she chooses the words path of least resistance, because we want it to be all right with you that you, and only you, have thrown some resistance on your trail. We want that to be all right with you. And we want it to be all right with you that you've thrown resistance on your trail, and that the source within you knows where it all is and is guiding you around it, over and under it and through it and around it. And so it's all right that it's there, because it's known and understood from broader perspective. It's like looking for something that's lost and then getting an idea to look for something else that isn't lost. And when you find the thing that isn't lost, you find the thing that was lost too, because they were in the same place. But if you were looking for the thing that was lost, you wouldn't have been able to find it, because your belief that it was lost was keeping you from the impulse that would lead you to it. But now you get an idea from source, because source knows where what you think is lost is. It's not lost to source, but source knows that you think it's lost. So if source tells you where it is, you're going to block it because you think it's lost. So source gives you the impulse to look for something that you're not worried about. And when you look for something that you're not worried about, you find it, and there's what you want that you thought was lost right next to it. We're going to keep saying that to you until you really hear it. In other words, do you get that? And so that's what that path of least resistance is. The path of least resistance means source knows who you are and loves you. Source knows where you are and thinks it's great. Source knows where you are in relationship to where you want to be and knows exactly how to lead you there. So the path of least resistance is you just chilling out and following the impulses, not judging them, not second guessing them, not even really talking that much to others about them who aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
Just follow your impulse for the pleasure that is ready for you. Yeah.
And so maybe I'm looking for a definition of source, or narrowing it down too much. Like, I know there's all these non-physical guides helping us in every moment.
Before we can have a conversation that you can feel an answer to that question, how to define source, we have to have a conversation about the resistance on the trail, because source is everywhere on the trail. Sometimes source is going to be represented by just a friendly meeting of eyes on a street. Sometimes a bird is going to come and land right on your windowsill and is going to represent source. Sometimes a thought is going to waft across your mind, and when it does, a corresponding emotion of elation is going to come with it. Those are all source experiences. Sometimes you're going to watch a movie and the only thing you're going to take away from it is something that source knew you wanted to know. There's no way of defining source, because source is omnipresent. The way we want to define source, we don't want to tell you where or who. We want to define source in emotional terms, because source is always presenting to you. When you are allowing source, you could feel any of these emotions. Any of these emotions. Relief. Source is always an improved emotion.
So source is, it's the movement. It's not an actual
So
emotion.
if you are feeling resentful, source is the feeling of frustration, because it's a path of least resistance. Oh, you thought source was always up here. Source is right there where you are, leading you along your path of least resistance.
So source is just contrast.
Source is improvement in the way you feel. Source is calling you home to who you really are, to who you have caused yourself to become. Ooh, this is a really good conversation.
So source is, it's the movement. Source is the creation of the movement from where I am to my desire.
Yeah, your recognition of source is your improvement in the way you feel. So it's always bringing a little relief. And of course, at first it's a little relief, but once it gets rolling, then it's ecstasy, then it's passion, then it's enthusiasm, then it's friskiness. It's always an improvement. So source is always present with you, even in what you think are your darkest moments. Because source never doesn't care. Source never focuses away from you. Always there. You've just got to be aware that it is, and then take the best clue that you're capable of taking from where you stand, and feel as good about picking up that clue as source is about being there for you to receive it. That was a good conversation. We have enjoyed this interaction more than these words can convey. And fortunately, we do not have to rely only on words, but vibration and emotion. It is exhilarating to us to know you. We want to reflect back to you the perfection of that which you are. And we like it when you tap into our feeling of eagerness and ecstasy about how you're doing and about what you are accomplishing. You are productive whether you acknowledge that you are or not. And you are of enormous value whether you know it or not. You are adding to all that is in ways that would take longer than you have left in this physical body to even explain to you. As we've been together in these hours, the thing that we have liked most about it is the movement in your vibration, the clarity that has been coming in bits and snatches. In other words, sometimes it feels like a stronger run to you than others. But the result of this conversation is that you are in a different vibrational place than you have ever been before. And we tell you because we know you, and because we can feel you, and because we are vibrationally oriented and we can know the vibration of that which you are, that you are on the brink of logical, obvious improvement in your life experience. And so it's good for you to hear these words and to get yourself into a little place of expectation about it. Things are always working out for you, but then again, things have always been working out for you. And sometimes when we tell you that things have always been working out for you, it makes you not believe that things now are always working out for you, because it hasn't always felt like things have always been working out for you, even though things have always been working out for you. But you have never been in such a receptive mode of allowing the things that are working out for you to be realized and recognized by you in the moment. And that's when life really begins to become fun. When you've deliberately launched rockets and you've deliberately moved your emotional state, you've deliberately chosen thoughts because they feel better. You've got your hands in your own clay. You are aware of wanting to feel good, and you are aware that you can feel better, and you are deliberately working at feeling better. We are very pleased about this interaction. Together we have taken thought beyond what it has been before. And now we are eager for your full-blown manifestations of the things that you want. The vortex is a wonderful thing, and it will always be there for you. But it's time for you to cash in your chips and experience some of the manifestations of what's been ripe for you for a while. And as a result of this conversation, there is a readiness that is new, and we are going to enjoy your discovery of your creative ability. There is great love here for you, and as always, we remain in your vortex.